Yeah, good evening, friends. This is CA Hansraj Chug, Chairman of the Committee for Member in Industry and Business of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. I, on my own behalf and on behalf of the committee and on behalf of my co-chairman Durgesh Kabraji, welcome the speakers Gulneet Chadda from the UAE, Girish Jain from the Dubai itself, and one of my coordinator who has coordinated this EDP program, which is meant for the young chartered accountants, very recently qualified and naturally facing lot of interviews and lot of opportunities on the way to clear and better understanding of their mind. This program is being developed as a executive development program. We have another friends from the Dubai, Prabdeep Baveja ji, who has been the coordinator for this program. I welcome you all. And at the outset, let me just have a brief about the program itself and the way it is really been brought into our mind. Basically, normally we talk it about the orientation, but this is not the exactly orientation. This is a strengthening of the soft skill. Though it is well said by someone that soft skill is really hard to get. It is really hard to get it. It is not a day's journey. It's a lifelong journey. Things changes because of the dynamic environment, because of the so many changes which keep on changing all across the globe. Things goes in that manner. So it's a hard to have a soft skill. That is the point. But whether it is the communication, whether it is the understanding of the different managerial skills or the presentation, representation, analytical mind, these are really been inspiring, or rather it gives to optimal to achieve the optimum level. But it is the starting point is you yourself. It is the burning desire in you which makes the things happen. You have to cultivate that kind of habit, deep burning desire within yourself. Then only things can happen with, because it is the technical subjects which is easy to get with. You can by way of the learning or by way of the knowledge from the books and from the different coaching or from the ICAI also you get so many help. But getting into the soft skill command on the subjects, it's a very difficult task. And today it is well said across the globe, without having a good command on the skill, interpersonal relationship, good command on the communication, good understanding on the presentation skills, and good connect to be made with whatever you talk about, it is being received in the same manner. Things cannot happen with. So it is basically you have to understand with these things has to be developed by oneself with the support of the speakers like Gulneet today and Girish Janji today. All across these 7 days, there will be a different speakers. Our coordinator Prabdeep will be here all through these 7 days with the supported by our secretariat from Delhi. Our secretary of the CMIB, Ranganathan ji is also here with us. So with those kind of things, these programs will be taken up for continuous 7 days, same time, 6 to 9 in the evening, which will be giving you more strength, will making you more strong. Strength will be built in better understanding of the so that you get a confidence out of it. Your habit of bringing out best in yourself will also be created and crafted, but things has to be created and crafted by oneself only. The focus, determination, compassion, creativity and optimism is the goal of the game. Let us first understand how the things happened with, like for each one of us, unless until we have a vision around us, so things cannot be really been brought into. That vision has to inculcate, and vision has to downflow for the mission. Then goal has to be brought in, then naturally with an objectivity, and then a strategy how you can achieve it. The strategy makes the difference. Then action plan accordingly, and then review of the action whatsoever you find out. Naturally, it's a not a day's job. The ICI with all, this is the very first program, let me share with each one of you. This is the first program of this kind which has been for the younger ones, though there are the different leadership programs also. But for the younger ones, this is the first time our co-chairman Durgesh Kabraji thought of कि let us have something to be given to the younger ones, those who have very recently qualified. You all qualified sometime in the month of March only. All the participants, they have qualified in the month of March only, very recently qualified, with lot of bubbling desire to get the best in their career, best in their life. But the pillars has to be made stronger. Though we all understand what all are the pillars for a life. Life got with the physical strength, life got with the mental strength, life got with the intellectual strength and the spiritual strength also, like we talk about these kind of things. So that kind of the burning desire has to be come with. That has to be tremendous capabilities can only be built in by way of the connect, touch and the reach influence and get the motivation from the others. Communication capability has to be brought in. Demonstrate tremendous sensitivity. One has to be sensitive to the whatever he is doing with. It is not a casual approach which can go with. If you want to achieve the optimal, you want to touch the heights, you want to surpass this and see the sky, so then you have to be more sensitive. Your power of vision, strategic thinking, ambitious agenda, and so many things which one has to brought in. All these 7 days are full of knowledge, full of better understanding, full of making you more stronger, full of taking you forward for the life career. It's a first stage matters in the life. If you put forward your first step strongly, so then you see the life. Life starts from there only. Like our speakers, I'll not brief them. Prabdeep will take care of their introduction. They have done their best. They are doing their best. And they have somehow with all clarity. There is a well said clarity in the thoughts, sincerity in the efforts, and naturally purity in the heart also. If it goes together, if it combines together, it integrates and it is being taken forward together, so then no one can stop you. The life will always keeping you in adversity also, because adversity can be there in the life. It cannot be denied with, and it has to be there. That gives a better understanding of the life. That shows how you have been strongly trained, or how you get these kind of things. The performance centric or the entrepreneurial mind for any professional, whether it is a profession of the chartered accountants or the profession of the any management graduate or anything, entrepreneurial mind with the new ideas, these ideas creates and make you the more successful person. Success is inevitable. It is bound to come, provided you act upon all those things which goes the direction it requires to be as a successful people. Success is bound to come. It is like inevitable as the sun rise on a daily basis. Success is automatically going to come, provided you follow the whatever the process needs to have with. To build your strength, capabilities and the competencies is always been said with, it's created and crafted by oneself. But though that is not the true. True is like this, created and crafted by oneself, with the support of so many others also. So others are our speakers, others are under whom you have done your articleship, others are those who are guide to you, those who are mentor to you. With the support of all those, you can pave the way of a successful professional, successful man, successful human being, because everyone is a human being. Human comes the first. The second level is whatever the profession you are into. The first, be a good human. Start thinking about the others at the same time once you are thinking about yourself. It is not like if you are surrounded by so many others as a team leader, so you without taking care of their interest, you will be a successful person, or you can be a achiever. You can achieve whatever you wants to be. So taking care of the others around you, that is the interpersonal relationship. Those kind of things are the need of the hour, and I personally believe so. These 7 days will be changing the life. These 7 days will be bringing out so many good things in you, because you are at a starting point. So these days, whatever you spend with, these will be a guide to you. All the faculties here, all the speakers here, they will be the philosopher and the guide for you as a friend also, as a teacher also, as a faculty, and as a whatsoever the name you can give it. So with these words, I welcome all the participants, and I personally believe so these 7 days, and I wish for each and every participants a great learning time for these 7 days, 6 to 9 p.m. each day, for continuity in continuity. With these words, I welcome all the both the speakers, Girish ji and our Gulneet ji also. My co-chairman is also here. The coordinator, we welcome Prabdeep Doveja from Dubai. Our secretary from the CMIB, our Ranganathan ji is also here. I welcome each one of you. Thank you very much. Now I would like to request Durgesh Kabra ji for his words of wisdom and the key words about this program. Over to Durgesh bhai.
Thank you, Chairman C. Hansraj Chugji. It's wonderful to hear you today, and the way you guided all the young chartered accountants who have just passed their CA exam, and they are going to make the difference by attending this executive development program. It's one kind of program which normally we have before campus placement. That is called is a orientation program, and that is 1 day program. But we thought that in 1 day not much can be done, and that is why we have decided this time, under the leadership of our chairman C. Hansraj Chugji and able guidance from the secretary of our committee Ranganathan ji, that we should have the executive development program for all our new chartered accountants who have just passed the exam and are going to leave the profession from front in the times to come. Friends, I welcome you to this chartered accountancy fraternity, and I also welcome Gulneet Chadda ji and Girish Jain ji, who are going to guide you today on the interview skills, group discussion skills, and some other ideas which will bring laurels for your future. So with that, you will be able to settle yourself. Friends, indeed, C.A. Prabdeep Singh has done wonderful task in coordinating all these speakers for this particular program, which is known as Executive Development Program. And it is going to benefit all of you. And the important thing is that all the speakers, except one, are from outside India, but they are chartered accountants or they are Indians. That is what is more important for all of us. So how the Indians have grown across the world and how you can grow in future, that is going to be given back to you by these legendaries who are working across the world. So friends, I also thought when Chairman Sir has spoken, I thought that how this executive development program is going to be helpful. And there are certain points to ponder for all of you. So you being the future leader of the profession, you need to have a particular attitude, and altitude. And attitude, altitude is very much apt for all of you. Your friends will believe in you, your potential. Your enemies will make you live up to it, friends. Every flower blooms at a different pace. When one door of happiness closes, another opens, but often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see one which has been opened for us. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. While echoing the views of my colleague and chairman of this committee, Hansraj Bhai, let me share thoughts as far as the life is concerned, as far as success is concerned. And here are some points to ponder with. If you want to be happy and you want to live a happy life, tie it to goals, not to people or circumstances. Dare to dream and act upon the dream. Someone rightly said that everyone gets an idea in the shower, but the successful one gets out of the shower. Dry off and do something about it. Hence, thinking and dreaming is not enough. One has to go all out, the full slog, to reach out and make a vision reality. Realize your hidden potential and bring it to the fore. We spend our days waiting for the ideal path to appear in front of us. But we forget that paths are made by walking and not by waiting. And now let me talk about some skills for all of us which we need for the purpose of success in our any endeavor. First one is aim. Aim high. It's better you get a stiff neck from aiming too high than a hunchback from aiming too low. In the end, it is not the years in your life that counts, but the life in your years. All that counts cannot be counted. All that can be counted doesn't necessarily count. Dreams requires effortless sleep, whereas aims requires sleepless efforts. Hence, sleep for your dream and wake up for your aim. Be positive and creative. If your eyes are positive, you will like all people in the world. If your tongue is positive, all the people in the world will like you. 1 tree makes 1 lakh matchstick. 1 tree makes 1 lakh matchsticks, but 1 matchstick can burn all 1 lakh trees. 1 negative thought can burn all positive ideas. So, my dear friends, be positive and creative always in your life. Ethics and good behavior. In matters of style, swim with current, but in matters of principle, stand like a rock. Time decide whom we meet in life. Our heart decide whom we want in life, but our behavior decide who will stay in our life, who will stay in our life. Friends, the way we manage, we have nothing, and the way we behave when we have everything determines our success in the life. So, the fourth one is focus begets success. Be focused to ensure your success. What is success? In simple words, when your signature becomes the autograph, that is the success. So your target should be convert or turn your signature into the autograph. Interpersonal skill. A wise person knows everything, whereas a successful person knows everyone. Relationship building and networking pay the path to success. So for all chartered accountants, networking is becoming most important. So dear friends, community building by way of networking and relationship, maintaining good relation, रिश्ते always helps to achieve your targets. अर्जुन ने कृष्णा से पूछा कि रिश्तों का असली मतलब क्या होता है. अर्जुन ने कृष्ण से पूछा कि रिश्तों का असली मतलब क्या होता है. कृष्ण ने हंसकर कहा जो मतलब के लिए बनाया जाए, वो रिश्ता कहाँ होता है. So friends, you must have relationship where you don't have your selfishness. So it has to be for the benefit of everyone. Time management. It may look funny, but true. In the past, nobody was in the watch, but everybody was happy. Now everyone has watch, but no one has the time. Time is precious. Time is the coin of life. It's the only you can determine how it will be spent. Be careful lest you let others spend it for you. Compassion and empathy is the seventh thing. Develop patience with compassion. Empathy, not apathy, towards those who are less fortunate. So always feel proud in helping to all the less fortunate. That will bring a smile on your face. So the eighth one is the smile and make others smile. The most beautiful thing is to see a person smiling, and even more beautiful knowing that you are the reason behind it. When you see someone without a smile, give them of us. That is most important. Keep smiling and remember Swami Chinmayananda's golden words about this smile. To weep is folly. To weep is folly and to smile is wisdom. Keep smiling. Speed is calculated as miles per hour. To increase your life's mileage, please enhance your mileage. Life is like a mirror and we get the best result when we smile at it. Smile is the best accepted credit card because it is accepted worldwide, auto reload, unlimited uses, no payment, and makes everyone happy. What sunshine is to a sunflower, smiles are to the humanity. So keep smiling. Forgiveness. Forgiveness saves the expense of anger, the cost of hatred, and the waste of spirits. So the forgiveness is another characteristic that we must build in ourselves. Clear communication. That is another important for all of us. You must speak the language which doesn't create misunderstanding. Friends, it is very important. There is no need that you talk in one particular language. It is important that how you can communicate your message. It may be in English, it may be in Hindi, it may be in Urdu, it may be in Tamil, it may be Gujarati, Marathi, whatever it is. So it is more important that how you can communicate. You need to be the best communicator. That is what is needed, friends. So, friends, all these things which I have talked before you, if we percolate in our life, I am sure that one who percolate all these things in the life will be one which you want to be, correct? And you will be the successful person. ठोकरे खा के जो संभलते हैं वो निजाम जहां बदलते हैं. रोशनी के नए चरागों से रूह तपती है, जिस्म जलते हैं. रास्तों को हमें बदलना है, रास्ते खुद कहां बदलते हैं. So friends, we have to change the ways. Ways will not change for you. You need to change. So we are the person who will make the ways for us. You are the person, you will make the way for you. It is very important for all of us. With this, friends, I wish a happy learning during this executive development program, which is specifically designed for you. And I'm sure that when you complete this executive development program, आपको एक ऐसी अनुभूति होगी, you will feel like that you are the person who can do wonders. You can really achieve something which is required in your professional life, in your personal life, and I'm sure that you will get what you want to achieve. And I wish you all the best. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you one and all.
Thank you, Durgesh Bhai, for such a wonderful, inspiring words and the inspiring, so many good things you talk about. Naturally, now we have to start the session. One thing is very clearly made out by our co-chairman also. It hardly matters from where you belongs to, whether you are from a poor family, whether you are from a middle class family or the rich class family, whether you are from a smaller places, some villages, or you are from a metro city, or you are from a any tier of cities. It does not make a difference. The differentiation only comes in through the thought process. So you have to think about you are equally power, you are equally competent. Wherever you are weak, you have to make stronger through the mechanism of the management perceptions, like management by exception. That itself speaks so many things. Same way, the different management maxims speaks about different things. Like in our own Hindi system or own Indian system, so many people have at a different point of time has given the best of the guidance through whether it is through the Kavita format or some Doha or those kind of things. So we all have to understand, everything is to understand with in such a manner, with a practical approach, with an approach which is been guided by so many. Whether it is not the speakers only, by way of the written words also in some of the books or some kind of the scripts, whatsoever is coming to understand with. Like we talk about the Gita here in our country or across the globe is being talked about. It is a management book. So those are basically the understanding with which one has to go with. So friends, with these words, I welcome again to each one of you, and I am very grateful and thankful to both the speakers around us. Now I'll request Prabdeep to take this as far as the session forward with the introduction of the speakers and getting them connected to the participants. Over to Prabdeep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jog sir, for the opportunity. And I would now share with all the attendees who are here that Gulneet makes, being in HR field, makes a significant difference in the lives of thousands of people every day. And before she comes here and shares her wisdom with us, allow me to share some of her experiences. Gulneet has been involved in strategic HR for almost 15 years in industries like retail, publishing, e-commerce, manufacturing, advertising and events, healthcare and government entities. She specializes in change management and culture transformation and strongly believes in ABC, meaning always be cultivating philosophy for employees and attracting potential talent. As a tech lover, she is always curious to learn and discover innovation in technology and has also contributed in successful contribution towards artificial intelligence in recruitment in some of the biggest names in the Middle East region. Founder of GC Consulting, Gulneet is focused on assisting organizations cope up with critical business issues that involve critical business cases, human capital, performance optimization, and work-life culture. As a prominent figure in HR in the Middle East and Africa region, Gulneet is an active member in seminars, government events, and a speaker on topics revolving around disruptive HR and thinking outside the box. He has also been featured in Gulf News, which is the most popular daily in UAE, twice for her views on employee well-being. Please allow me to welcome Gulneet with a big round of applause, and I wish all the participants very best. Over to you, Gulneet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prabdeep. It's a pleasure to be here, contributing somewhat to the fresh graduates, which is this qualified chartered accountants, because they are stepping into their career field and they'll be facing the corporate world. So a few tips from my side, because I do this on a daily basis. I've been doing this for 15 years now. When I first landed in the UAE, which was back in 2005, I was around 25, 26-year-old, wanted to establish my mark here. And somebody, an HR veteran, I met him and he asked me, what do you want to do? I said, I want to do HR. I want to study. I want to do my MBA from here. He said, no, but how do you want to do it? I said, like how everybody else does it. But then he said, no, you'll be able to do your best if you are extraordinary. If you put your best foot forward. And if you're not extraordinary, you get filtered out. So I have some HR professionals looking for a job, qualified. Now, why do I pick Gulneet as compared to somebody else? How is she better? Now, if I'm not better, of course, I have to then look and attend different interviews. But if I possess the skills that we just spoke about, Mr. Durgesh was talking about some skills which are very, very important today for hiring managers and recruiters, because that's exactly what they're looking for, be it any part of the world, be it India, Middle East, Europe, anywhere you go, people are hiring for skills. Now, if I have 2 chartered accountants and I have an opening in my organization, what do I look for in the candidate is not just the qualification. I look for something more. And what is it that I look for? Does this person has a dream? Very important. Do you know where you're going? Where do you want to start? And dream combined with passion. If you don't have passion, then you're just in the norm, just going with the flow. But if you do have passion, you grow very, very fast. Some people really grow fast in their career. And why is that so? Because they basically acquire skills and they develop competencies. So I would start with sharing something that I basically did for this class. Which will basically give them an idea about how to prepare themselves for interview, what they should be doing, some basic tips, what they should be doing, how they should be answering the question, and what is it that recruiters or hiring managers looking for? They're looking for something which is very explicitly mentioned in the job description. How to go about it? Let's start this. And I hope everybody's involvement. If you have any questions, I think we can put it on WhatsApp group. I would be happy to answer. So the learning objectives that we would gain from this session with myself would be about the norms and practices followed by recruiters or hiring managers. So they could be a recruiter or hiring manager interviewing you. So how to face them, what are they looking for? Learn about difference between skills and competencies. We have spoken about skills all these years. Now what is becoming very, very popular is competencies. And I'll explain the difference between skill and competencies and how do you spot what the job description says. Is it the skill or it's the competencies? Preparing for interviews, impress the interviewer, understanding how to face standard questions with best answers. Now, what is the biggest challenge? What is the recruiter looking for? Are they looking for skills or they're looking for competencies? When you look at the job description, of course, when you're applying for jobs, you do have a job description. When you look at the job description, there are certain job profile, the functions of the job which are mentioned in job description. And then there'll be another section that possibly mentions skills needed for the job. Now you have to really look through those skills because those could include also competencies. Now, what are the behavioral competencies they are looking for? We're talking about recruiters or hiring managers. When you look at the job description in detail, what proficiency, they're looking for proficiency in Excel, and they're looking for analytical skills. They are 2 different things. The proficiency in Excel is something that you have gained with practice. But your analytical skills are actually they're coming under competencies. So when your job description says these specific skills and competencies, it's 100% guaranteed that the questions will revolve around these skills and competencies. And how will they revolve around these skills and competencies? We'll come now to that. So the skills are basically what? Specific learned abilities that you will acquire to perform a specific job successfully. Like say, for example, handling accounts, for coding coders, it's coding, computer programming, foreign language proficiency, which you learn on the job. Competencies is taking you a step ahead, which basically you will use during your job. But in order to do your job better, you need competencies. And people who progress really, really fast in their career are the ones who have got competencies in their behavior. Now, knowledge and behaviors that lead to be successful in your job, for example, analytical ability. Now, when I interview any chartered accountant, I know they will do the P&L. I know they will possibly talk about EBITDA margins. I know they will talk about top line and bottom line. What else? What else? Are they able to analyze and play with my data and give me the picture of my organization? Are they able to furnish recommendations? Are they having problem-solving skills, negotiation skills, strategic planning, forecasting? These are the competencies we are looking for in candidates, because we don't need anybody to do the robotic job. We want somebody to come and tell us, hey, you have a problem here, and maybe if we do it in this way, we'll be able to address it in a much profitable scenario or the outcome. So these are the competencies right now what hiring managers and recruiters looking for. If you have that spark, if you are a go-getter, if you have learning abilities, which says that you are ready to learn, ready to expand your knowledge, and ready to experiment and take initiative, there is no hiring manager that would turn you down, because you are going outside your comfort zone. And we like candidates who are going outside their comfort zone, because again, we don't want a person to be coming and doing what their job description says. We want them to grow, and that's how they make the organization grow. So if you've got certain behavioral competencies, which are, if you are a starter, if you take initiative, if you are a team player, if you are a problem solver, effective communicator, then yes, recruiter or the hiring manager has no problem taking you on board, because you have demonstrated what takes not just you forward, but also helps in organization going forward. So coming down, how to prepare. These are very basic things on how to prepare for an interview. Now, when you say before the interview, what you should be doing, these are very generic things, but I'll go through it one by one so that you know exactly if there is anything that you really need to look at. I would say, do your homework, study about the company and the organization. First, study the JD, see what they are looking for. Specifically, skills are very important, but because the interviews are going to be based on the skills. Interviewer would like to know if you fit in the team. So very important for you to know is about the culture of the organization. It's not just about them, but it's also about you, whether you fit in. So go on to their website, check what values they demonstrate. So those are the values that you need to demonstrate in the interview, because they are basically looking for people who are a cultural fit. So look at the values. If their values are honesty, care, fulfillment, so those are the values in your interview's answers. You have to demonstrate those values, because then there is a direct connection. What services or products the company provides, you have to have understanding about the company. So as a recruiter or a hiring manager, like I recruit so many people on monthly basis, I always ask them this question: did you go through the website? And if they say yes, it shows their interest in my brand or in my client's brand. It shows how interested they were to learn about the organization, to learn about the products and services, to get themselves acquainted. Okay, this is the brand. Would I like to be associated with this brand? Or no, it's not of my interest. Is this the industry that I see myself in? These things are very, very important. And if you go through the website, and if they have won any awards, which are recently, and it's on the website, when you go for the interview, do bring this up. Congratulate them, because you make them as proud as they are. This really leaves an impression. because not just it really makes them proud, but it also makes them feel that you did care to go through minute details that made them proud, and of course you also proud of it. Try to find out about company's culture, long-term goals. Culture, very, very important. Do you see yourself there? Is very important. It's not about recruiters or hiring managers getting people on board and recruiting you, but it's also for you to get the right kind of opportunity. Now, the company's culture, their existence, their growth will actually tell you how progressive they are. Is this the right place for you? And it would be very, very beneficial if you talk with someone you know who is in the company or is an ex-employee of that company, just to get an idea about what's the culture, what's the career progression, how is the management, what are like employees' benefits and compensation in terms of progression in career. That would really give you a nice heads up on whether you want to be a part of this organization. Know where you're going. That is very important. You don't want to be late for the interview. That's a very bad impression. No recruiter or hiring manager would like to have a person coming in late. So if you really need to go one day in advance and check out the location, the traffic situation and everything, it's very, very important you do that, because the last thing that you want to leave an impression of somebody turning up late for an interview. Bring extra copies of resume. Why? I always have this thing. One of my clients, when I always go there in their premise, they are very environment sustainable, conscious client. They don't print copy of resume. They don't. So sometimes they do need a copy. It could happen. Usually they access it on iPad, but if you do bring a copy, it could be very handy. So always go prepared. Always study your resume. Now, sometimes what happens, which most of us do, I write CVs for people. So I do that as a professional service. Now, when I'm writing a CV, and I'm a CV writer, I would pick things from the person and incorporate using the keywords that AI uses in order to make the CV the best match to any job that's been posted, right? Which is ATS compatible. Now, if you're getting your CV written by a professional CV writer, you have to make sure you understand each and every word which is in the CV. It's very good to have a professional CV written by someone else. Help is okay. To take help is fine, because not everyone is an expert in writing CV. So we sometimes do need a professional help, but it's very important for you to go through your CV, understand all the achievements that you have listed on your CV. I have personally come across candidates. I've asked them questions from their CV and they had no idea whatsoever. And they were like, what? And that's a very bad impression. So you have to make sure that you know your CV, you carry your CV, you have a pen and a nice diary to pen down some important points that basically gives an impression to the recruiter that you prepared and you are attentive and you are into the interview wholeheartedly. That's very, very important. Do not bring your phone. If bringing your phone is super important and you can't really part ways with it, always keep your phone on silent. The biggest turnoff for any recruiter or hiring manager when they are in the middle of the interview is the phone ring. So you don't want that to happen. So always keep it silent and with avoiding any interruption so that you don't get distracted and there is no distraction to you also. Now, how you dress is very, very important for the interview. You want to grab this opportunity. You don't want to let it go. The reason you're going for this interview is because you need this job. You have prepared well. You have studied about the company. You know what the job description says, and you want to get into this job because this is going to give you a kickstart, and you don't want to go wrong anywhere. Even though your friends, your family, they tell you casual is fine, I always feel if you are dressed up formally, it does leave an impression. It leaves an impression on, yes, you're putting your professional foot forward. And that's what I appreciate, and that's what mainly all the HR practitioners appreciate when they see that the person has basically made efforts in order to get ready for the interview. Now, what happens at the start of the interview? You have to definitely shake hands. If some people, now I would like to bring this up because this is very, very, very common. I have come across people with sweaty hands, and this is a normal thing that I hear from all HR practitioners, that, it's very uncomfortable as a recruiter. Make sure if you're coming from a hot weather inside, you arrive a little bit early, make yourself comfortable, make sure you're not sweating and you clean. You go, shake hands firmly, introduce yourself. Smile is very, very important. They need to get that warm vibe from you. They, as much as they are determined to make you comfortable, you also need to make the recruiter comfortable in a way that they feel that warmth vibe from you, and they are also comfortable chit-chatting with you. Because if you pick up the data, if you really pick up the data from the survey and from the service that those are released online, a recruiter spends less than a minute on each CV. So if you are shortlisted, it means they have seen something in you. That is why they called you for an interview. So you pick up the survey and see, Google it, how much time an average recruiter spends on a CV is less than a minute. Less than a minute. If it's a startup job, which you would be going for.
Yeah, Gulneet, can I interrupt you for a second? Actually, most of the attendees here, are preparing for the campus interviews, which will be happening virtually. So they also want you to throw a light on that when the interviews are happening virtually, then how the things move.
Right, perfect. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I will possibly tell them how, okay, so this was like shake hands and all, keep communication positive. Now I'll jump to the virtual side, which is at the interview. These points will be covered. And remember to smile. Okay, now during the interview, look at your body language, even when you're sitting. Now, if you're sitting for a virtual interview, you have to sit straight and not being very fidgety. Avoid moving a lot during the interview. Now, you must have seen me rocking my chair. Of course, I'm not in the interview, but if you are doing a virtual interview or an in-person interview, keep your posture very straight and in a very, very good condition so that the other person doesn't get distracted, because when you rock your chair and when you kind of don't have a good body language, you're distracting the interviewer, and also, of course, it's not a good sign. Know your resume well, prepare to answer questions. They will ask you questions only from your CV. So it's very, very important, as I rightly said before, that you have to know your CV well. You have to know if you've worked on any project. Now the skills we'll be covering further, when we go further, skills we'll be covering, and I will tell you what skills they are looking for that you'll have to mention at the time of interview while demonstrating your experience. You must have done a project in university, or you must have interned somewhere as a part-time job, just on a temporary basis. Bring those examples, and what you have to demonstrate, very, very importantly, which is the biggest, most important wanted competencies right now, is if you want to pen down, you can pen down right now. Is communication skills comes on top of the chart. Problem solving skills comes on the second. Team player, very important, the third one. Taking initiative is the fourth one. These four skills or the competencies, if you demonstrate, your chances of getting through the interview will be much more higher. Now, how do you demonstrate these competencies? Maybe you mentioned a project in your university and you've done something, interned somewhere. Bring out those examples and put those as an achievements on your CV. Under achievements, you demonstrate those examples so that you are telling the interviewer you're an effective communicator, you are a very great problem solver, you've got a great analytical mind, because these are the skills that people are looking for. And you can take time. If you don't understand a question, ask the interviewer twice. There is no problem asking them to repeat the question. We don't have problems answering those questions. So don't focus on your weakness or your negative attributes. Criticize former employers. If you have interned anywhere, or you had a difficult professor, or you have any problems, do not bring those up in the interview, because the interviewer actually wants to know about whether you are the best candidate for my job with the best competencies. So are you the kind of person that I hire at the start level who can grow up to a level of accounting manager or the much higher position? Am I able to train you and nourish you so that you grow with me as an organization? So there is a lot of momentum in the market, Indian market. They are all now progressing towards CIPD qualification. I'm talking about HR. When we HR professionals get CIPD qualification, we learn the methodology of STAR questions. Always ask who is going to interview you. Look them up on LinkedIn. See what they have done in the past. If you have an HR who is a CIPD qualified person, will most probably attack you with STAR questions. Now, what are the STAR questions? STAR questions starts with situation. They will give you a situation, not give you, ask you about a situation. Okay, so have you been in a difficult situation wherein you had difference of opinion with your colleague on a specific task? Now, the next thing what I'm talking about is the T, which is a task. I would like to know the situation and I would like to know the task. Then I would like to know the action, not what your colleague had done, what you had done to solve that task and the situation, and what was the result. Which is your achievement, should be your achievement. The result should demonstrate these important competencies: problem solving, communication, team player, taking initiative, because this is exactly what they're looking for. When you're talking, your voice, your command should be very confident. The interviewer sometimes would put you in a very difficult position, would irritate you. I tend to do that a lot because I love to see their reaction, because if they are getting irritable just by interaction with me, on a daily basis, there are so many differences of opinion that you would have with your team members, isn't it? So what are you going to do there? Are you going to be defensive, offensive, or cooperative problem solver? These are the things that I would like to see. The interviewer knows exactly what they are looking for and exactly what competencies and behaviors they are looking for. And it's very important for you to maintain your calm personality. And if you don't understand or don't agree with something, give them a smile and quietly, indirectly withdraw from the conversation, not to argue and put your point across. Now, behavioral questions will be too many. Tell me about a time when you faced a difficult task with a tight timeline and how did you solve it? So here, I'm actually asking you whether you have problem-solving skills. Give me an example of a difficult manager that you dealt with during your internship. Now here, I'm asking you about your patience level, whether you do have that patience to deal with a difficult manager who throws an unwanted timelines, and how do you cope with it? Have you ever failed in any assignment? Here, I'm looking for honesty. I'm actually looking for a very, very plain, simple confession. If you have failed, tell me, and I would like to know why, so I identify your weakness. I will not ask you straight away what is your weakness, but this question would lead me to that weakness. Describe an instance where you had to agree to disagree, right? Where you said, no, I don't agree with this, but still I had to do that task. So here I'm trying to understand how much you can be pushed in order to be an effective team player. And if you don't agree with that task, would you still be a team player and participate in it? There are a lot of things that recruiters do when they probe, they grill, they try to understand. But what they are basically looking for is not just the qualification. You qualified. The reason you are qualified is because you have a degree. You are qualified. You learned, otherwise you will never be qualified. So you've done the hard work. You have learned everything that you were supposed to learn. Now I'm looking for that attitude. I'm looking for that go-getter. I'm looking for that spark in the candidate and the passion that will not just take you, but my company forward. Okay. So basically the job-related questions will be asked. Definitely they will ask you about all the accounting questions. And of course, the level differs, what kind of job profile it is. It's a junior level, reporting to who, and. So a lot of stuff will be asked. So if you've been offered a job, be prepared. This is very rare. So in my 15 years of practicing recruiting business and HR, very rarely we have basically thrown an offer just across the table to people. If we find them exceptionally brilliant, exceptionally brilliant, that in the first meeting, that's where we start discussing salaries, start discussing benefits and everything. You don't need to give them an immediate answer. Don't be obliged. Don't live under that fear. If you don't say yes to them right now, tomorrow this job is going to go somewhere else. No. If they are offering you a job straight across the table, it means they saw everything in you. Otherwise, no recruiter would do that. But if you have become that rare case scenario, still take your time. You know you're the best. This is why it happened to you. So if you're the best, you are in that position to negotiate, not just about the package, but because of everything that you can bring to the table for them. Ask about their culture. Very, very important. You don't want to get in an organization which is very bureaucratic. You don't want to put yourself in the first place of your career wherein you get disappointed. You want to be in a very progressive culture. Organizations right now are really transforming themselves. Red tape is fading and more open door policy is coming up. With the whole pandemic situation and everything, now we see managers getting more aligned, managers giving more face time, getting more involved in progression and development of their team members. There is always something that I always tell the candidates when I prepare the candidates for interviews. As soon as you enter the organization, you meet the interviewer, you basically know. You have an idea whether you belong to this place or no. Like as recruiters, within first 10 minutes, we already know if this person is for us or not for us. So it takes us 10 minutes. Likewise, honestly, it takes you very little time to feel the energy of the organization, to feel the energy of your manager. Is this manager going to be supportive enough for you to transition from junior to senior level? You will gain learning, you will gain knowledge, you will gain support. He will be your mentor or coach. Or it's the organization which will just become the first point of entry for you, and then you will go further. Very important, I always tell everybody, ask questions about your career progression. You going in the entry level or a mid-level doesn't matter. You are not wasting your time because you're getting yourself associated with the brand. You're giving it your all to the organization. Now, all you want to know is how long is going to be my stay in the organization? And you don't have a problem asking that question. If I know I am going on HR manager level in any organization and the CEO is interviewing me, I would be very interested to know if from HR manager I can become an HR director. Is that position available for me? Does the company allow that kind of career progression? Do ask these questions, like feel free. The more you ask, the more the recruiter feels that you are engaged and you are interested. And there is no problem at all asking questions. Don't feel scared. Don't feel if you're going to ask questions about the culture, about company or anything, they are going to turn you down. No, we want an interactive employee. We want employees to not just keep quiet. We want employees to come and share their ideas, their opinion, bring something to the table more than the accounting stuff that you're bringing to the table. And that is your personality. We want to see your personality. So, and if you are told that you will be contacted, ask them how long, because you do want to follow up. And thank the interviewer for their time and say that I'm really interested in this role. Show your interest again and again. Show them that you can do this job. You can't just do this job, but you can add more value to the organization. Effectively, again and again, start emphasizing on the competencies that I just mentioned. Give them examples. They would like to know if you will be taking an initiative, and they would love to know that. And of course, that is going to put you on a much higher level as compared to other candidates standing for the same job. So the follow-up could be done. Send the interview thank you letter soon after the interview. Very, very important. I always tell the candidates that I prepare for the interview, send a nice thank you letter. You can Google. I can send you a template. In fact, I'll be sending you this document and for circulation, so that you can send it to everybody. They can go through it for a quick snapshot if they want at a later stage after this session. A thank you note is very important. There are so many templates on Google that you can pull. A nice, polite thank you note, again telling them that you're really interested in this opportunity and you're very eager to join them, would be a very nice impression. Follow up if you don't listen, if you don't hear back from them, and if they have made a hiring decision, because you don't want to have an endless wait. Sometimes the positions do go on hold because of inevitable reasons, but you do want to keep in touch. You want them to be in the loop, and you want them to not forget you. So don't really think twice before sending a follow-up email, and ask them if the position is closed. And if they do say the position is closed, thank them again and tell them, kindly keep my CV on file for any future opportunities. And good luck to the candidate who's selected. So that again leaves a very long-lasting impression on the recruiter. Remember to keep it very professional. This is what I said in the interview. It's very important. The reasons people are not getting hired. So I think these are the points very briefly I've mentioned. But our next speaker, Mr. Girish, is going to talk you through the reasons of people getting rejected in detail. So I will leave this portion for him to cover. And then I'll jump to the common interview questions. Do we have questions from the audience?
Yes, we have. Yes, Gulneet, we have some questions for you. Largely, the most common question is how to prepare for a virtual interview when we cannot shake hands. So
yes.
That is the most common question which is coming.
Yeah. Okay, so for the virtual interview, now make sure it's very, very important. You sit in a place wherein you are undisturbed. You make sure your internet doesn't drop. Make sure you're dressed well, because it's going to be a video interview. Recruiters may or may not turn on their camera, but you have to turn on your camera. That's very important, because you're being interviewed and they would like to see you for whatever reasons. If they don't turn on their camera, make sure your camera is turned on. Uninterrupted scenario, your surroundings should be extremely quiet so that you can focus. So you choose a place wherein the internet connection is good, where you can focus. You have a copy of your CV right in front of you, so that if you need to just brush up quickly, you can. The first thing is when the interview starts in an online interview, the virtual interview, the first thing you would be expected to introduce yourself. The interviewer will greet you. They will say, thank you for joining us or me today. And thank you for applying for this opportunity. It's great to have you. Could you tell me something about yourself? That's where it starts. So you need to very briefly tell them about yourselves. Here, do not bring up competencies, because here you're only going to tell them, what are your qualifications? Okay, so where are you from? Where do you live? Not the address, just the city. Where do you live? What have you done in your educational qualification? Have you done any training programs or any technical qualification? These are the things that you kind of give your introduction. And then you're interested in this, you apply for this job because you're highly interested and you think that it matches your skills and competencies. Use those words, skills and competencies. Somebody tells me skills and competencies, the person who's on the startup level rings a bell in my brain. Oh, okay, so basically we are talking about skills and competencies, which is what I need, you know, and every recruiter looks for that. Every hiring manager looks for that. So this is how you introduce yourself. Once the introduction is done, then it depends what questions the interviewer is going to ask you. Now, you have to make sure that you don't move your hands too much, because it's an interview. You don't rock your chair too much. You're calm, you're composed, and you're answering all those questions. Now, there could be many questions. Now, what exactly do you want to know from me on virtual, the Zoom interview? Is there anything else? Now, this is where you kind of do the introduction. Would you like me to talk about the questions which are given on the screen, or do you have any other questions that you want me to answer? So what is it on the chat?
Yeah, there is a question which the students are asking as to if their academic qualification is not good enough, like they have taken more number of attempts to pass an examination, how to make it up before the interview board?
So if they have taken more attempts to pass the qualification, now, say for example, if I'm very keen to know what took you so many attempts to pass the qualification, there has to be reason behind it. Was there any lag? Did you have a time lag? Were you not prepared? You can possibly touch base on certain circumstances, but don't go very deeper into it. But then finally say, yes, now finally I've passed that and I'm looking forward to a stepping stone. And don't shed so much light on, I wasn't prepared, I failed, and then again I tried. You can possibly bring out some of the circumstances, maybe touch base on something personal. I had a lag, wasn't able to cope, then I attempted again, and then finally I got through. I didn't give up. I didn't want to give up because this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I really wanted to do.
Yeah, Gulneet, many times it happens that, students are not prepared due to the circumstances, and if they do not clear within their articleship, then they go on for employment. And when you go for an employment and you are not continuously studying, you are not fully prepared to give the examinations, and you appear in examination and you give attempts again and again. So this is a question which comes up very often, that students are very scared, those who have taken more attempts, that whether the organizations will look at them in the same way as the other candidates, because many times those who pass in a first attempt, and many times it happens that the organizations also make a mention that they will prefer candidates who are a first attempt candidate. That is one place where this issue comes up. And second place, as you said, that there may be a family gap. Like there's one question where a girl, she completed the articleship, but due to the family circumstances, took a break of 5 or 6 years and then completed the chartered accountancy. And these students, these qualified candidates are those who will be shortlisted by the organizations for a campus program. And then they will go through those interviews where they are shortlisted, and then they will have to choose between those organizations which one they want to choose given initial acceptance. And so another question is that how we can negotiate the salary in such circumstances. And it's related to campus. So most of the questions are coming the way campus interviews happen, where they are shortlisted and they have to choose within 3 or 4 organizations who had either shortlisted or have given them an offer.
Okay, so the question is about how to choose the best offer. Is that the question, or we're going back to that question wherein they still need to answer, or they still stand a brighter chance as compared to to candidates who passed out in the first attempt?
Yeah, so there are 2 questions which you need to answer. We can ask Girish also to elaborate on it. First, when there is a time gap and have taken more attempts, and then we how to negotiate an offer when it's given in a campus.
Okay, so I would say I have interviewed personally many chartered accountants, and it doesn't really differ much because the attempts could be due to many reasons. And now the world is changing so much, and the recruiter's mindset is changing so much, wherein we do understand that people may take time. If you pass in the first attempt, it's great. But if you don't pass in the first attempt, that doesn't mean that you don't become successful, or you'll not be able to start your career and do your job well enough as compared to the person who passed in the first attempt. Because we're not comparing here. We're looking at a qualification. You passed in first attempt, or it took you several attempts. You've got some reasons behind it. As long as you passed, that's what we look for. And that's what I know is, yeah, that could be. Now, it all depends on the recruiter mindset. They possibly would expect the candidate who passed in the first attempt as a much better, but I think it's just the mindset. But with things changing so rapidly in recruiting industry, and people actually broadening their horizon in terms of what they think, how they rate the candidates, and on what parameters, what grounds, for me, even if they took several attempts to pass, but if they are the brightest in terms of competencies, I don't care. I'll still pick them. Because yes, there's knowledge, there's certification, but what we are looking at is people going outside the box, the sharp people who are go-getters, and then that's what is needed in today's world. So that's my input. Now, how to negotiate on the offer, it all depends what kind of offers and what kind of organization do you want. Now, I am a firm believer of picking an organization which gives you career progression and gives you more learning and exposure. I remember in my own career, I picked an organization and I stayed with them for a very long time. I could have gotten a better salary outside, for sure. But because it gave me so much exposure, it gave me so much of learning on daily basis. Everything was new. And I learned not just the strategic functions, but also like the forecast and analysis and everything. I was everywhere. I was made to get involved everywhere. And I had so much of exposure that I never got bored on the job. I was in love with my job, and I learned so much that when I left, I formed my own company. Had I gone for salaries, which is possibly a 10% or 15% up I would have gone, I wouldn't be here where I am. So money is important, 100%, and definitely you need to survive. Always go for the organization that guarantees growth. And you've got stories from individuals from the organization who've joined at a level and then grown to a certain level. That's how I advise people to pick between the offers. So you need to kind of see the overall thing. So I'm not saying if somebody is offering you, I'm just giving you an example, 10,000, and somebody is offering you 5,000, you go with 5,000. No, if you do think the market is 10,000, you need to make that as a benchmark. You could possibly go 10% lower. But if you are bargaining 10%, with what are you bargaining? That's very important. And that boils down to the culture of the organization, whether you will get that growth there or not. So that's my answer to your second question, how to pick the best offer.
Yeah, Gulneet, there is a question on strengths and weaknesses, which is there in your presentation. But one more thing I would like to put a light on is that, we have our qualified candidates from different parts of India, where a city may be a small or a big. And when we are from a smaller city or from a smaller firm while we are doing our internship in a big city, then candidates are scared on how they should approach their interview. If the organization asks that your experience in the internship is limited, it's limited to this much area, then how to counter that, if you can source from.
Sorry, my voice is echoing. Okay, if I'm a recruiter and I throw this question to a candidate, well, you have hardly interned for 2 months, and this is somehow less period than as compared to what we are looking for. So then you say this, yes, I've interned for 2 months. If I had an opportunity to intern for a longer duration, I would have loved to. But I am determined that wherever I work, I will not just use my experience and competencies that I gained during those 2 months of internship, but I will learn very quickly and be able to add value much faster and quicker, that you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, Gulneet, here the issue is that, every student will have an equal internship period of 3 years. The only thing is that the experience differs. Sometimes it's at a big place and sometimes at a small. So that is what scares the candidates. That
big place,
experience. Yeah.
Big place or small place as organization or the city?
See, depending upon the city, the experience may differ, and also depending upon the firm, the experience may differ.
Yeah, so they can just say that definitely they've kind of gained a lot of knowledge and skills and competencies during whatever and wherever they have worked. And if given a chance with this organization where they are applying for, they will not only be able to demonstrate whatever they have learned, but they're sure that they will add value. Confidence is very important. If they tell the recruiter that I am willing to learn and very fast I will be ready to add value, then that shows the eagerness in the candidate and interest in the candidate that yes, okay, so he's kind of coming with a less experience in a smaller organization, but he's very passionate about learning, and that's what I'm looking for. Are you passionate about learning? Are you passionate about growing? If that's the thing, and I see this in your personality, then I take you on board and I give you a chance. A lot of people we hire, really, in HR, if you look around, what we hire for is the attitude. Because you can learn your job while being on the job, but attitude is something that remains as your personality, which is what we bank on. So it's very important how you demonstrate what you have learned, even though the experience possibly was in a small organization, smaller city, shorter, but if you show the right attitude and competencies, you're very convincing to the recruiter that you're the right person for them. But you have to give them that confidence that you are eager to learn and perform and grow. That's very important. If I get that confidence from a candidate, it's all about your communication skills, really. It all boils down to the communication skills, how you present yourself.
Yeah. Gulneet, you can continue with the common interview questions, and
Yes.
then at the end of your presentation, we'll see.
So what are your short-term goals and your long-term career goals? On the short term, this is a very common question. On your short-term goals, you can say that I think that I want to kind of gain proficiency over whatever profile they have advertised, whatever position they've advertised, and long-term goal is to stay with the company. Please do mention, because I as a recruiter or any hiring manager would like to see whether if I am just one of the organizations or you have some long-term plan for you to stay here. So say that my long-term career goals, I want to grow in my profile for sure. And if your organization gives me an opportunity, I would definitely like to be with you growing into my career. So give them that feeling that you're not here short-term. Your short-term goal is not a short-term employment here. Your short-term employment leading to your long-term career and long-term goal in the organization. Why did you choose this career? You can talk about your passion in accounting, and you can say how does it inspire you, what you see yourself doing in your career, and who's your role model. So much you can talk about. How do you see yourself flourishing? What are the skills that you would be acquiring? How it is going to change your personality? All this you can talk about. Why did you choose your career? What are your greatest strengths and weaknesses? Now, weaknesses is something that we would pinpoint during either the behavior questions or the STAR questions easily. If we are not able to pinpoint at that time, we would throw this question for sure. Now, more than the strength, I am keen to know what are your weaknesses. So you could be very honest, but it could backfire. So I would say be very diplomatic in your approach. You can possibly say, well, I'm a perfectionist, and I think sometimes that becomes my weakness, because it's just like so much effort that I put in a stuff. So to a recruiter like me, being a perfectionist actually is attention to detail, because I know that you will do your stuff in the right way. You consider that as your weakness. Perhaps it's taking you more time than usual. But when you are telling them about your weakness, be very careful. Because if you say any of your weakness, which backfires on the skill that they have or the competencies they have mentioned in the job description, then it could be a minus on your interview. So be very diplomatic when you say when you're talking about your weakness. That's very, very important, because usually this question doesn't come up straight away. It comes up during the behavioral questions or competency-based questions. But if it does come up, I would say don't be very honest that I laze around sometimes, and maybe I kind of just procrastinate sometimes. You don't have to be that honest. Give them a diplomatic answer so that you're not really making them focus a lot on your weakness and they move on to the next question. Why should I hire you? You need to give them enough reasons for why you are fit for this job. Now here you definitely need to emphasize on your qualification. You possess the best qualification which is suited for this job, but you also need to tell them that you possess the best skills and the competencies for the job, and you want to learn more, you want to progress in this career. So a very confident answer would definitely leave a lasting impact on recruiters' mind. Why should I hire you? Also could possibly have an answer which could show your passion towards their brand. You can talk about their brand, you can talk about their company. If they are very, very popular on social media, they do a lot of posts. You will say that I love your culture. I keep following you on LinkedIn, and I feel you have the best culture, and I would like to be a part of this culture. And I think that I'm fit for this job. I've got all the prerequisites for the job. I possess the right kind of qualification. I've got the best competencies, and I feel I'm the right person for this job. Confidence all through. So what did you like the most about your last job? Never ever badmouth anybody that you have worked with. Your past manager, even though even though your journey was very, very difficult, you had the disastrous manager or whatever. As a recruiter or the hiring manager, we are expecting some values. We are expecting some values, to see some values in the interviewee. Now, it comes to my mind, if you're talking about your ex-manager like this here, tomorrow you go somewhere else, you may talk about our company as well. This is a very normal norm that recruiters think of. So what did you like most about your last job? Tell them what you like. I had a great manager, if you did. I loved my job, if you did. You had the best culture, if there was. So talk about the good things. What did you like the least? The safest answer, safest of all, without bad-mouthing anybody, my last job did not provide me with enough career progression. That's why I thought I am ready for the next step. That's it. So least job, do not talk about the culture, do not talk about the manager, or maybe you can say there weren't many opportunities for career development. There was not much learning and development support. But don't talk about the culture, manager, nothing. You need to kind of be on a very clean slate, and leave an impression of values and being very to the point, not going back on the political side of it. Tell me about your last supervisor. I always ask this question. I want to know how much inspired or not so inspired you were, or you had any differences with your supervisor. It gives me an opportunity. About your last supervisor, you can say, I learned a lot. And I can never forget my learning from my last supervisor. And I had enough support. And always end this on a positive note. Describe a situation where you had to collaborate with a difficult colleague or a client. Here, we're basically looking at teamwork. If it's a client, we are looking at more of a problem-solving skills. I have covered this in the past, but it's again repeated here because I wanted to emphasize these are the competencies they are looking for. Every recruiter would like to know, how are you going to solve my problem? If you are in a problem, are you going to run to your manager every now and then asking for support and holding hands? Or you can at some point of time become independent. Do you exercise your logical mind? EQ, emotional intelligence. We expect emotional intelligence everywhere. Even on the junior level, we expect them to be grounded, level-headed, react in situation in a very, very logical way. So impulsive reaction is what we are looking for in this question, because I would like to know if you are impulsive. And if you are impulsive, maybe you don't fit in the team because maybe I already have one impulsive person that I can't get rid of, So all these questions revolve around, I want to know you better. I want to know you as a person. Now here, I'm not talking about your job, your qualification. You already gave me a document and the people who issued you this qualification knew that you know your stuff, right? So they issued. Now all I want to know is about your personality for me to see if I will hire you eventually. Describe a difficult problem you faced and how you approached it. Now here, again, it's a star-related question wherein you have a situation, you coming up with the situation, you coming up with the task, how you solved it and what was the result. How you approached it basically tells me about your overall approach. Whether you have an impulsive approach, whether you have an analytical approach, whether you sit down and think about, if I do this, this is going to work here. If I do this, this is going to result. So we do ask a lot of questions to analyze the personality of the person. So these are the questions that you might expect. Not all of them, depends on the interviewer. Now, describe a situation where you needed to take an initiative. That could be an initiative when your co-worker may be called off on a sick leave. And then you took an initiative to take on his profile, his job functions. And how did you proactively manage the situation? That could be one example to demonstrate your initiativeness. How do you work under pressure is very, very important. A lot of organizations would like to know whether if they work under pressure, now all depends on the kind of organization and the kind of workflow they have. They all would like to know whether if this employee gets under pressure, will break or will be able to cope. So it's a swim or sink situation, whether this person is going to sink or he will eventually swim in a difficult situation. So working under pressure, you can say, yes, I definitely can work under pressure. I can manage my work and myself under pressure. If you give that statement to them, it shows, yes, you can just not manage your work, but you can also manage yourself, as in you don't have a breakdown situation, which definitely results in some reaction. Now, the sample interview questions that you can ask the interviewer. Now, these are the questions that you have to ask in order to know about the job. Now, we're going back to the same question Pradeep just said about weighing between different offers. Weighing between different offers is choosing the right kind of culture where it gives you career progression and salary. There are two things. But you also need to know how is the job during the day? What are you going to do during the day, right? Is it a stressful job? And how does your typical day or week look like? Ask those questions. Do they get an opportunity so when they get these offers, do they get an opportunity to interact and ask these questions about the job in campus recruitment?
Sorry. Yeah, Gulneet, can you come again, please? Yeah.
I said, so we talked about campus recruitments, right? So if they are kind of getting offers from 2-3 places, do they get an opportunity to get back to the recruiter and ask these questions? How does my typical day or week look like? And
yes, they can ask those.
Okay, so if they can ask these questions, very good. So you have to ask how your typical day or week looks like in this position, so that you can know what you're sailing through, what's your job going to be sailing through. And when will the decision be made, who's hired? You need to skip this question because you kind of, I got to know how the process is being spread. How do you encourage employees to enhance their knowledge and skills? This is more related to training. So say, for example, you can ask the employer, are there enough learning and development? So here you're talking about learning and development. Are there enough learning and development support for employees in the organizations for you to know whether if there is a course, any advanced course that you will have to go through, whether the organization is going to support you to do this. So for you to know, what does the culture look like? Do you have turnover? This is a very important question. A lot of information you can get from Glassdoor, but Glassdoor people only who want to vent out will go and speak. But it's nice to ask maybe the people around who've left the organization or the recruiter themselves if you do have a turnover, because a lot of people leaving the organization is not a good culture, not a sign of a good culture. So it would be a good thing to know, because you are basically weighing between different offers. You want to kind of select the best. So if that's the case, then you would definitely like to know about the culture of the organization. And if they do have a lot of people leaving, which is the turnover, then that's not a good sign. And what are your expectations of okay, so this is very important. They have mentioned in the job description, there'll be a lot of stuff that they will not mention. Now, this is us, the recruiters or the hiring managers. When we have to do the job description, we'll just do it. We'll copy paste something from here and there. But when it comes down to the actual job, there'll be a lot of information that we didn't put in the job description. Ask them about their expectations. That's very, very important. Because if you ask them about their expectations, they're not looking at the JD. They're talking to you. They might tell you some stuff which is not covered in the JD, but they can tell you in person. Maybe, I wanted somebody who's extraordinary in Excel because I need to churn reports. Now, that makes you think about your proficiency in Excel. Maybe they didn't give it in JD. Maybe they never spoke about it in the interview. So expectations is very, very important, so that you know in your mind the 3 main points, 1, 2, 3, these are the major expectations, because if you ask them expectations, they will talk about the major expectations. Okay, can you tell me about the history of the position and changes anticipated? So history of the position, you could be a replacement to somebody. You could be a new person on board. Would be good to know. If the recruiter is very friendly, you can ask, why did the person leave that I'm replacing? But if he's not friendly, don't get into it. And what are the changes anticipated is, how is my position going to grow further, or is it going to grow or not? How will I be evaluated? Ask them really about their performance evaluation. When do they do their performance evaluation? What's the time period? And what are your KPIs? Very, very important, because you do want to be measured. Your job description is not your KPI. Your competencies is not your KPI. KPIs you will get after you join the organization. These are your targets that you have to achieve. Running the P&L report, running the receivable report, or there could be different KPIs on time, and so you have to really understand what are your KPIs, and you can ask that question because you have the right to ask that question. Now, the last thing is the UAE world. How does it work here? I wouldn't really emphasize much on it, but there are a lot of chartered accountants here. There's a lot of requirement also, and I've already spoken about, yes, qualification. Definitely we hire chartered accountants, but all we look for is the competencies. All the competencies that I've been talking about in this session are the ones we are looking for. We look at communication, we look at problem solving, we look at teamwork, we look at initiative. So if you do plan in future to come here and look for work, please, I think this session definitely would be helpful, because it's the same here that people look for. And yes, do we have more questions?
Yes, Gurneet, we have. And the one question which has come very often is that, how the first question being asked is, how do we describe ourselves? So therefore, if you can further elaborate that how they should prepare about telling about themselves, so that, they can make a note of those points and prepare.
Right. So talk about now. Okay. So here. Okay. I'm not going to go back to the questions now. Okay. So you introduce yourself. You will be definitely welcomed. I'm talking about the virtual thing. You'll be welcomed. The recruiter is going to thank you for joining in, and then you start so they will ask you to introduce yourself. So when you're introducing yourself, first you tell your name. Like, say, for example, my name is Gulneet Chadha, and I'm from, say, the city where you're from, and I have graduated from whatever place, and I hold a professional qualification from here, right? And then you will talk very briefly about what you have done in the past. If you have interned in some organization, then you very briefly say that last 2 years or 1 year, I've been doing this, where I have learned whatever certain things you have learned and gained certain competencies. You mention those competencies like problem solving, analytical thinking, and being an effective communicator. And then you come on to your interests. So, and apart from that, my hobbies include, now that should be very smart. You don't want to tell them that I like going, like, you don't want to tell them haphazard things. You want to say them nice things. I like to read. My hobbies include reading. I do a bit of social charity. You want to kind of tell them the stuff that they would like to hear, right? My interest is in music. My interest is in reading. My interest is in sport. I play so-and-so. The introduction, why is it so short? Because it's to break the ice. The recruiter would like to break the ice by letting you talk first. Once you break the ice by telling, my name is so-and-so, I am from this place, and I have graduated from here. I also possess professional qualification from here. I have worked for a very short tenure in this organization. during my tenure, I have gained knowledge on, say, P&L. I was basically responsible to handle receivables. I was supposed to do this. And then I ended my employment, or I'm still working with them, depends what is your scenario. And then apart from that, my hobbies and interests include sports. And if you are doing something phenomenal, you are a champion, you're playing cricket on state level, say that, whatever it is, keep it very short. Because eventually the recruiter is waiting for you to stop so that then they can ask you your job related question. Introduction is breaking the ice.
Yeah. Gulin, next we have a very common question on communication. Like some questions are there, if my communication is weak, then what should I do? Or
Okay.
if I have, one more thing, couple of more points I would like to share in this only. If I have studied from a Hindi medium and I'm not able to answer the questions in English, if the recruiter is asking, then whether I can move on to a Hindi, or if there is a language barrier due to some other reasons, then how to overcome and be confident in them?
Look, I would say, my personal experience, you can learn anything that you want if you have got interest. There are a lot of videos on YouTube, interview practice, lot of videos. Look through those videos. No matter if you're coming from a Hindi medium, it doesn't really matter. All they need is for you to do the job. And if they do have a culture wherein English is not the primary language as an official primary language, they will not have problems taking you on board. Definitely not. As long as you're doing the work, you're able to do the work, and as long as you have the right kind of competencies and attitude. When I say this, if you do get stuck with an interviewer, very the point here is, recruiters do not like people who do not have confidence. You're not proficient in English, there is no problem. No problem at all. As long as you feel pride in whatever you're saying. So you do say, I'm sorry, English is not my proficient language or the first language. Is it okay if we communicate in Hindi? Now, this will happen only if you can only communicate in Hindi. But if you can, with a bit of effort, not more struggle, can communicate and still pull the interview in English, then you can, right? With a bit of practice from YouTube and other tutorial videos that you can watch from YouTube. But if you cannot, then you do tell them. And in your CV, in the languages section, please do mention English, fluent, or it's basic or it's intermediate, because it gives the recruiter enough idea. Because if I'm a recruiter and I know you are not proficient in English, I will not speak to you in English. I will automatically switch to Hindi, because we don't want to make the interviewee uncomfortable. This is our first value when we interview people. We understand and respect their level, and we speak to them on the same level. So if you don't understand, if you're not able to communicate in English properly, I switch to Hindi. It's very simple. Or do tell me, I'm sorry, but I think I'll be much more comfortable doing this interview in Hindi. Is it okay? Then definitely I will say, yes, it's okay.
Yes,
but if you really want to brush up your English skills, there are so many videos on YouTube. Please go ahead. They all are free. You can go ahead and watch those videos and brush up how to say sentences, how to answer questions in a particular sentence. So the more you learn, the more you practice, the more you get the hang of it, and the more expert you become. So there is no harm getting ready for interview.
We have some questions, how our CV should look like whether the photograph should be there or not. So if you can give, 4 or 5 quick tips which can help everyone to brush up their CV.
I have built different softwares and I've done a lot of live sessions on ATS. ATS is applicant tracking system. Now it's tricky. If you are applying, say for example, you see any job on Naukri website or Monster or anything like that, if you see any job posted on that, please keep your CV free from any graphics, any picture. Let it be plain and simple, because I don't want to take you to the details of ATS, but it's a technology that doesn't pick up pictures, that doesn't pick up graphs. So never put the logo of the company you worked for, just put the name of the company. You can describe the company, what they do, as in which industry they are in. So like say they are the manufacturers of plastic or garments or whatever, in 2 lines, but never put the logo of the company on the CV if you're applying online. If you're emailing it directly to somebody, or if it's a campus recruitment wherein you're handing in your CV to somebody, you can have graphics on your CV, you can have a picture, no problem. But if your CV is going straight into an online portal where the recruiter sits at the back end and they filter through different CVs, your CV gets rejected because the bot doesn't understand the picture and the graphics. That's one of the limitations. So maybe you'll never come up in their search. That's again going to not give you enough. So my recommendation, keep 2 copies, soft copies, one without picture and without any graphics. Keep it very simple. So the CV should look like this. On the top should be your name. Under your name should be your mobile number and your email. Address is not necessary really, but location definitely is, which city and which country. And then you do your the summary. Summary is just in brief about yourself. In this you can put your competencies. That a qualified chartered accountant with say 3 years of experience in accounting and working with the large manufacturing companies or retail companies. Now this is your 4 to 5 line of summary. After that, you come to your professional experience. When you put professional experience and then you start listing your professional experience, then you put you put your position. You put your position, under that you put the company name, and then you put the dates. And then you put your job functions, what you have done. And if you've got 3 jobs or 2 jobs, just put it in the chronological order. Then after that, you straight move to your educational qualification. You can choose to put your educational qualification right after your summary. You can choose to do that, or you can bring it after, because you will anyways be writing CA after your name, so people know that you're a chartered accountant. And then, so I would bring the educational qualification after professional experience. Then I would also put any training courses or any technical certifications under the educational qualification. And then I would put my personal details. Personal details could be date of birth, marital status, language proficiency, interest and hobbies. That's how you structure your CV. Keep it very short.
What should be the length of the CV? That's what...
2 pages, not more than maximum 2.5. Maximum. Because nobody would like to see... Sorry?
Yes, so 2 pages...
Yeah, there are 1 or 2 more questions.
Yes.
I'm sorry, there are 1 or 2 more questions which you can kindly take up. The question is how to deal with a situation where one does not know an answer to a technical question, or how to deal with a interviewer who starts grilling you on a subject that you do not know.
So I really have respect for people who will tell me I don't know. Because in our level of being recruiter, or say for example, I'm recruiting for, so I'm a recruiter, okay? I'm HR expert. I'm hiring a chartered accountant. Now, chartered accountant or accountancy is not my forte, right? It's not my forte. I will have a subject matter expert sitting next to me. I will ask maybe all the attitude and competency related questions and grill them. He will ask all the knowledge and technical questions related to the job functions. Now, while this is happening and the grilling is happening, attitude questions, I'm able to find out what the attitude is of the person. Now here comes a question. Say, for example, we're moving more towards technical, and then the subject matter expert asks one question to the candidate. Candidate doesn't know the answer. Now, what do I expect as a recruiter, and what does the subject matter expert expects from the candidate? Honesty. If you don't know, say you don't know, but I'm willing to know. Because if you don't know and you try making up, you're kind of getting into a dark zone, because then there'll be more questions on it that you're going to fail. So the best way is to fail in one question, then to fail in following 3 questions, because this is going to come. If I see somebody doesn't really know about the technical aspect, I have come across candidates saying, oh, I have only done a part of it. I haven't done to that extent, which is fine, which is okay. So here, it's not a battle that you want to win. Here, it's like, this is what I bring to the table in the best of my expertise. And if you have the capacity to teach me something, I'm willing to learn. That's the attitude that you need to demonstrate. Don't fake it. Because the interviewer will eventually know, the subject matter expert would eventually know that you're faking it. My recommendation, if he's grilling you, you are not knowing the technical answer, say, sir, I do not know, but I'm more than willing to learn. Or maybe I have had less exposure, but with more exposure, I'll be able to demonstrate better output. Something like that.
Yeah, Gulin, we are getting many questions, on a virtual interview, like common questions that whether I should put earphones, how I should dress myself in a virtual interview, how I will appear myself confident, how I can make the first impact. So there are so many of these questions which are coming in, and also with relating to our strength and weakness. This question has been again asked also. And if we come from a very rotten environment or very difficult environment, but now we have cleared, we have qualified, so we want to make a change in our lives. So how we can make that strong impact so that the interviewer likes us?
Right. So coming back to first, I will cover this point: how to be professional. So now, how to dress for the interview? You have to be formally dressed. There is no other way, because recruiter can choose to remain off camera. You cannot ask them questions. Why are you off camera? But you should always be on the camera, because they would like to see you. And sometimes we do tell them to on their camera, because I would like to see their body language. Now, wearing your earphones is completely fine. No problem at all. Whatever makes you comfortable. Just make sure that your screen positioning is good enough that you're covering at least this part, wherein you can be seen wearing a tie and you're comfortably sitting and there's no disturbance. Keep your arms locked here like this, because it also gives you enough psychologically. If you're keeping your hands locked here, it gives you a bit of support. And don't move much. This is how you need to project yourself. The opening statement, which I said, the breaking of ice, is very, very important. That's the first impression. When they ask you, tell me something about yourself. So how you introduce yourself. So do a script. I would say do a script wherein you have a very short script about your own introduction that you do, and then you memorize it. And you say it with a lot of energy and confidence, and that's it. That's how you basically present yourself. Appearance is very important. It has to be neat, very neat. You have to be focusing very much on the screen. Don't look at your CV, even though your CV will be right here on the table next to you. Don't look at the CV unless you really need to. Keep it handy, but don't look here and there. Look straight. If the recruiter is on screen, then definitely you have to make an eye contact. So that's about how you should appear in the virtual interview. And the strength and weakness. Strength, you can again use the strong, very strong things that the recruiters are looking for. For your strength, you can possibly say that I have great attention to detail. your job as a chartered accountant, if you don't have attention to detail, then you know where we will be. So you have to tell them, maybe one of the examples of your strengths may be attention to detail. Another strength is punctuality, or making sure you meet timelines. Because in accounting, timelines and monthly closure and everything is also very important for companies. These two strengths, and that's it, recruiter will not ask you for the third. I hope not. The two are more than enough. Weaknesses, play very diplomatic, very, very diplomatic. Now, you can say, I said already, you are a perfectionist, right? And that can possibly go as sometimes as a weakness, because you put too much effort that sometimes, lets me think that, am I delaying the task? Then I get back on my track and then say, okay, fine, I have to complete. So the weaknesses don't say anything negative that makes them think, oh, this is not the right person for us. Tell them one weakness, and if they say, do you have any other weakness? No, not really. So that's it.
Yeah, I think Puneet will ask you the last question on a group discussion, that how a group discussion may take place virtually, and how to step up and give the point, and how to counter it if someone says that it's not a debate, when and how we can raise our point. So a little bit, 3 minutes, if you can throw some light on how to be best in group discussion, and how it may take place if it takes place in a virtual interview.
So the virtual interviews, from my understanding, the virtual interviews also happen in the form of a group discussion?
Yes, it may happen, I believe. So let's say that
if it does happen, you need to kind of put first so say, for example, if I'm a recruiter and I've got on my screen 5 candidates and I'm going to have a group discussion with them. So basically what happens is, whenever we have done group discussions in the past, those were basically with an objective to give them case studies. So we gave them case studies and we wanted to know what's their input, and then they would talk to each other and kind of comment on each other's views. This is how we went ahead doing that. Now, if it is a group interview, your introduction is very, very important, which is why I said that breaks the ice, and that also gives a very strong impression to the recruiter. Now, how you're introducing yourself is very, very important. The kind of voice clarity, the kind of tone, the kind of personality, how you're dressed, everything counts. So for you to make the first point of impression in the mind of recruiter, make sure that you are the brightest in introducing yourself. The second thing that you can do is take initiative to participate in the discussion, because the last thing I want is to have somebody that doesn't speak. Now, I'm not saying speak whatever, but do not hesitate to speak your mind. Sometimes we think this doesn't make sense, but it's only us we are thinking it doesn't make sense, but actually it makes sense to other people as well, So sometimes we are shy in group discussion. We don't participate. We don't speak our mind. So first is you have to really come out from that shy zone and understand you are in this group discussion to speak. So you have to speak. You have to speak your mind. If you do get into a debate with someone, please check yourself every now and then that your tone doesn't change to an irritable tone. You may differ with someone in an argument, but what as a recruiter I'm looking at you, how calm and composed this person is while debating and differing in opinion with anybody. So I have my eyes on this person and I want to see, yes, he is debating, he's putting his point across, but is he irritable? He's not irritable, then it's fine. So check yourself again and again. Go back checking on yourself whether your tone is changing. It's very good to enter into a debate, and always use, but I would kind of use my perspective word very often, because you're not insisting that this is your solid opinion. You are telling them that it's my perspective, and perspective could be anybody's perspective. So I'm not saying that this is the only thing that you should believe in. I'm only saying I beg to differ, but my perspective on this is so and so. If you are debating with somebody, carry the debate in a very healthy way. Try to not get irritable. People have got intentions when they are in the group sessions to irritate one another so that they skimmed out of the session. But you have to maintain your calm. You have to participate. You can't be quiet, because if I'm having a group discussion and I'm in an interview, I'm actually looking at each and everybody, and I want each and everybody to speak because I want to know their thoughts, their perspective, so that I can understand them more. If you don't speak, you don't get involved, and I don't get to know you more, which again is a limitation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nurmi. Thank you for answering the questions, and the remaining questions we will be taking in the second session. And some of the questions are whether they can get... Thank you, sir. They are asking whether they can get this white paper or any other guidance.
I will definitely send it to you now after this session. And yes, please feel free to really distribute it to whoever you want and can get benefited. I would be more than happy if people do get benefited from this white paper, and it's all done for them, so they can definitely take it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. There are so many questions, but as you have a meeting, you have to leave. So apologies for it, but we will answer the students in the best way possible with our experience.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me, and it was a pleasure interacting. I hope I have added value. And if there's anything you need my support even after this session, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. It was so very wonderful. Thank you.
So now I hand everybody over to Mr. Girish.
Yeah, before he comes over, I will introduce him. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, Girish is a qualified chartered accountant from Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and has also done CPA certification from University of Illinois, USA. Girish had also completed his law graduation from Law Campus, University of Delhi. He carries a wealth of experience in the finance field of over 25 years and is currently working as a chief financial officer with a large multinational group company in Qatar. Among his contributions as honorary service to the finance profession, most notable is holding the chairmanship of Doha chapter of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India twice, which is our oldest overseas chapter outside India. He has various recognitions as an International Conference Committee member. He is a regular invitee as a guest speaker and a panelist at various national and international conferences on the Indian economy, finance, internal controls, and audit. He has presented many workshops on leadership and communication in Qatar and India, including many motivational talks to school and college students. He is a distinguished Toastmaster since 2003 and has held many honorary leadership positions, most notably as a division director in the year 2018-19. He has won many speech awards, including Best Speaker in International Speech and Humorous Speech Contest. He has contributed to the Indian community and other forums in Qatar for the last many years. He has served in Indian Cultural Center, Indian Community Benevolence Forum, which are affiliated to the Indian Embassy as Honorary Head of Finance. He is currently on the board of Institute of Internal Auditors as Seminar Committee Chair in Qatar. Girish has regularly contributed various articles to numerous professional and social publications. His recent article appeared in the monthly magazine Society of Qatar's leading newspaper Gulf Times, titled Care in Communication, which was well received. He is a budding author of a book on communication to be released soon, which is his maiden attempt to define and decode communication for young professionals and all those who need to understand different aspects of communication to help improve their communication skills. He hails from Delhi, and for the last 22 years with his wife Nisha Jain, also a finance professional, and two talented kids, daughter Anushka, a grade 12 student, and son Aditya, a grade 8 student at Delhi Public School, Doha. Before Girish comes over and takes over, I would like to share that he will, in the next 54 minutes we have, he will quickly share his presentation, and then we will try to cover all of your questions. So over to you, Girish. Please help me welcome Girish. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pradeep Saab, for that wonderful introduction. I hope my voice is audible.
Yes, perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you very much. And I would like to sincerely thank the CIMB, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the regional head office, regional office, for giving me this opportunity to present this session on interview skills. For the benefit of our attendees, I would like to tell them that in my last 25 years, after passing out the CA examination, I have appeared for more than 20 interviews, and I have taken more than 50 interviews of chartered accountants and non-chartered accountants. So I have a good experience or good exposure of on this subject. So I hope whatever I would like to share, I will share that will help our new chartered accountants who have just passed out. I hope that will add value to them. And with that, I would like to share my screen. Just give me a minute. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Girish, it's fine.
Okay. Yes, sir, we are able to see.
Okay, thank you. This is do's and don'ts when we are going for an interview. So I will mostly cover what Gulneet has already covered. That I will just skip. If there is any duplication, I will not do that. I will just talk about from the perspective of the organizations
Recording
which are.
Has started.
So I will just share my experiences, personal experiences, and of the other experiences of my colleagues, and based on that, I would suggest what exactly should be done to gain the good to give a good interview, to pass out the interview with flying colors. So this is the agenda what I would like to cover. Why interview is required, and how to connect with the interviewer, how we can make a good impression on the interviewer, and why do we get the rejections if we appear for an interview but still we are not successful. What are the reasons? What may be the reasons that I would like to cover, and what are some very common and small mistakes what generally candidates do, which they can avoid, which can impact their interview results. And I will share my real life experiences, and then we will wrap up. So I hope I will cover in the next 50 minutes or so. So these are some bullets where I would like to share with you that this is what I intend to pass on to our listeners, that what would be a good idea of having a good impression on the interviewer, and what are the common mistakes and why rejections happen. And I would like to tell our attendees that this interview is a continuous process. Just don't think that once you have interviewed and you are selected by a company, that's it. That your journey, your job journey has started, and that's it. I would like to tell them that this is a continuous process, and they need to continuously apply to companies, even if they get a good job. But still, they should look forward for gaining experience. Stick to that company, to whichever company hires them. Stick with them at least for 2, 3 years, 4 years, but continue applying for the job. So don't stop your job applications. So that is my suggestions to them. Why do we need an interview? Actually, I'm sure we Indians, everyone loves cricket. So just consider the relationship of a candidate and the interviewer as a batsman and bowler. So the candidate is a batsman and interviewer is a bowler. So when you are in the field, you are a batsman. There can be the balls which are coming to you. You can duck them, or you can take some singles, or you can hit them for a 6 or for a 4. So the interview questions are like that only. So you have to understand what questions you need to duck, what questions you need to hit 6, or what are the questions, or what may be the questions where you can clean ball. So that those things, if you understand, then I'm sure you can play this game, or you can be successful in an interview, in any interview for that matter. So connection with the interviewer is very important, and how you can do that. Some of these things Gulneet has already covered, like when you meet with the interviewer, whether it's online or it's face to face, you have to continuously smile. You have to give them a comfort level. You have to show them that you are courteous, you care, and then you need to show them that you're confident, and you need to show them that you have a positive attitude. You have an attitude of learning. As Gulneet said, that if you don't know the answer, just simply don't try to answer anything, or just don't try to bluff. Just say that, okay, you don't know, but you are willing to learn. So that is a positive attitude. And what I have experienced that when interviewer asks any question, candidate should listen to the question very carefully, because sometimes there may be some communication gap because of the language, or because of let's say if it is on Zoom or online, there may be a connection issue. So you have to listen to the question carefully, and if you don't understand, you have to ask them, okay, can you please repeat the question, or you repeat the question, okay, is it this thing which you want to ask me? Then the communication gap can be filled in. And as Gulneet also said, that we have to understand their expectation, because when a job role is advertised, you have to see whether you are a correct fit for that job. Generally, what I have seen many cases where the candidate is not fit for the job, but he tailors his CV according to the job role, and then they send it. What happens is, in that case, first of all, they have to just put in some fake experiences or fake roles which they have done, and then when the interviewer asks them a question, they're not able to answer. So my suggestion is that don't fake your CV. Even if you are going to a CV writer, just write honestly whatever you have done. CV writers, what they generally do, they just polish the language. Suppose, like in your CV, you may say in simple language that, okay, you have done this. But then CV writers, they have, generally I've seen, they have some nice words. They can just tailor that sentence to start with, okay, you have stewarded that process, or you have taken care of that process, or these kind of nice words. So it's good to go to the CV writers, but it is also very important to understand what you're writing there. You're honest, you're writing whatever you have done, you have undergone to those roles. Only that you are writing, you're not bluffing. So that's quite important. Now, this is a very famous quote which I would like to say. Most conversations are monologues which are delivered in the presence of a witness. So Whenever you are in front of an interviewer, you have to keep the communication ongoing. It should not be like you are only talking, and he's just listening, or the interviewer is talking, the candidate is just listening. So it should not be. It should be both ways. So just maintain that communication process. Then I think it will be definitely a success. Now, see, as per studies, what has come out that 7% of communication happens only verbally, 55% of is a body language, and 38% is a tone of voice. And that's quite true. I have noticed that. When you enter in the interview room or you join through Zoom, your first impression is very important. And as Gulneet also said, that you have to join or you have to reach before time. Even if you are on Zoom or online, you have to attend the interview before time. You cannot be late. That will be definitely a very bad impression. And these are some of the examples I would like to share with you that why people are rejected for an interview. I would like to just tell them that if you have got an interview call, that means that 90% mindset of the interviewer is to take you on board. It's only the 10% they want to have reconfirmation after seeing you or after talking to you. So that means they are convinced 90% after seeing your CV or your experience and whatever you have done, whatever roles you have done. So they're convinced. So now you have to just take care of that 10% bit. And there are very simple, silly mistakes which generally candidates do. Lack of preparation. That's quite important. I can give you my experience when I passed out of the CA long back. I went first for my first interview. It was a multinational company based in Oman, and their CFO was there in Delhi. I appeared for the interview, and the first question he asked me, why should we hire you? And to be very honest, I was not prepared for it. I just stayed, I was just passed out of CA. I was just flying in the air, and then I just went there. And then when he asked me, why should we hire you? The first answer I gave that I am a chartered accountant. I passed out my CA. He said, so what? There are hundreds of chartered accountants out there. I said, I am a hard worker. I'm honest. He said, so what? There are a lot of people who are hard workers, a lot of CAs who are honest. So after trying to convince him for about 5-10 minutes, I could not convince him. Anyway, that was a rejection, of course. Then I started digging out the correct answer to this question, and I think this was already covered by Gulneet. When they ask you why should we hire you, you should be able to tell them something which is not a common thing, which is something extraordinary. You need to give them some kind of nice words which they are looking for. For example, they are looking for that I take initiative. Yeah. So these kind of words they are looking for that, and then when you are saying that you take initiative, you are a team player, you should be having ready examples. Immediately when you say I take initiative, they say, okay, can you give me an example or two examples? Then you should be immediately having the answer. If you don't have the answer, you're just bluffing or you're just saying for the sake of saying. I don't think that will be really impressive. Second thing is inappropriate body language and facial expressions. As Gulneet also said that nowadays most of the interviews are happening online. You cannot sit in front of the camera and you cannot see here and there. You cannot refer to your CV or do some kind of scratching of your head or move your fingers or hand. These kind of gestures or body language, I'm sure it's not advisable. If you are there in front of the camera, you should look presentable. You should keep on smiling not laughing. You should be smiling so that it shows that you are confident and you are ready to take on any question, any ball, whichever comes your way, and you can face anything. So that is quite important. And then lack of honesty and ethics. I've seen hundreds of CVs where candidates just bluff. They just bluff, and then a good interviewer or a good manager can immediately find out that candidates are bluffing. Or if they're not bluffing, you can just ask them one or two questions based on that, and then you can immediately find out. So don't try to make fool of the interviewer, because if they are at that position, they are taking interview, that means they have something, they have achieved something, they know something. That's why they are on the other side of the table. So just be honest. Whatever you're writing in your CV, that should be honest statement, and you should be having ethics. Ethics is, I would always advocate ethics, because ethics is do the right thing even if no one is watching you. So even if no one would notice or can notice, but you should always say your honest opinion, or your whatever roles you have done, you have to give them an honest account of that. You should not bluff there. Emotional outburst is something which many times it happens. Once it happens with me also. I can share one of my experience long back when I was giving an interview. Sometimes what happens is interviewers, they just call you maybe under pressure, or they just want to just see you, or they just have to just tick the box that, okay, they have interviewed 5 candidates and they have already selected somebody, but they have just called you. So what they do, they try to ask some questions, or some kind of questions where you feel offended. So my suggestion is, don't feel offended, even if you are getting bouncers. Don't be offended. Just politely just answer that, or just don't answer that. It's up to you. But you don't have to get angry on that. You don't have to really answer them back, or you don't have to really, what I would say, you don't have to raise your voice. So just be cool, look cool, and if you don't know the answer, or if you want to duck that question, even if it is a little personal or something, you don't need to answer that, because see, the interview is not end of the world. I would again say, okay, you're not passed there, you may be taken in some other company, so don't see yourself that no, you have to get this job, or you can take those silly questions. Don't do that. If you have been asked wrong type of questions, or personal questions, or some kind of emotional questions, that means certainly that place is not for you. So just consider that and just move on. Again, shabby dress sense, I would say that you have to dress as per the occasion. Anywhere, if you're going for let's say if you're going for marriage, you dress accordingly, right? To go for a marriage, you just cannot go in pajamas, or in shirt, or in slippers. So interview is also a place where you have to dress according you have to dress formal. I remember sometime back we had taken an interview for an accountant, and there were a lot of girls. It was just a vacation placement for about 3-4 months, and later on we confirmed that lady for a long term. But we had a small girl. She was just passed out ACCA, and she dressed quite nicely, and her first impression was really good. Although she could not answer all the questions, but her impression from the dress was really good, and communication skills were also good. So those things really play a big role there. Now, distraction, as Gulneet also said that when you are attending an interview, you need to switch off your mobile phone. That is a big distraction. You cannot, or you don't distract the interviewer by let's say you are just moving your ring in your finger or something like that. You cannot do that. I remember we were taking interview for senior analyst in Dubai, and my manager was with me. He was from US, and when we were taking the interview of this CA, he was a CA, the candidate, and suddenly his phone rang and he picked the phone without saying that, sorry, can I take this call or something. He immediately picked up the call, and he spoke for about 10-15 seconds. And that was a big no-no. I mean, he was very good in technical knowledge. He was presentable. Everything was good. When the interview finished, my boss, American boss, he said, I cannot take him. And I was trying to convince him that no, he's really good and all that. He said, no way. I mean, he didn't have manners. He didn't have the courtesy to ask me whether I can take up this phone call. Although he should have come with this phone on silent mode, but no, I cannot take him, and he was rejected. So these kind of distractions, you have to make sure that you are not distracting the interviewer with these kind of things. Okay, lack of technical knowledge, of course. I will touch upon that in next slide or next slide, where I would tell you from international perspective, because what happens is if the interviewers are from a different part of the world, they focus on different aspects of a the personality of a person, of a candidate. So I will just touch upon that later on. But yes, technical knowledge is also important. Don't think that you dress well, you have everything, but you don't have the technical knowledge. So that will be a very big minus point. So you have to have technical knowledge, although you may not be able to answer all the questions, but definitely technical knowledge is important. Now, these are some of the thumb rules, which I would like to present to you. If the interviewer is asking you a question as a candidate, don't interrupt him. Just listen to him carefully and then answer. I mean, if you interrupt him, that will be not looked at quite courteous. I mean, it will be a distraction, and I'm sure the interviewer would not like that. So listen to the question carefully and then answer. So that's one of the thumb rule. And then second is display confidence. Keep smiling. I mean, you, as a candidate, you have to show, although you are nervous, I'm sure, fresh passed out, you're going for an interview, you will be a little bit nervous, but the best thing is don't show that you are nervous. That's the key. Although you're nervous, I would like to just share this secret that when the interviewer is coming, most of the times interviewers are also nervous. Don't think that you are only nervous or candidate is only nervous. They are also nervous. So, but they hide that. They hide their nervousness with a smile, with confident gestures. So just be confident, look confident. Even if you are not confident, look confidence. Look confident. That is a key. Now, third is find out if you are suitable for this role. That's quite important, because many times what happens is people just apply. I mean, fresh CAs, they just apply here and there, everywhere, and wherever they're just looking for a job. That should not be really a good criteria. You have to see whether you are really fitting for the job, because what happens is this is your first step. This will be your first job. So that will be the foundation of your career as such. So you have to choose that first step very carefully. So you take the opinion of your superiors or your family members or your friends or your well-wishers, whether you should accept a certain job or not. But this is your first stepping stone, so that you have to choose it very carefully. If you are in a wrong place, that can ruin your career like anything. Next thing is this actually most of it was already covered by Gulneet, that consider their expectation, what exactly they are expecting, and on top of that, what I would suggest that you have to tell them only what they want to know. You cannot just elaborate your answers. And somebody asked that how much we have to answer. What I would suggest that you just look at the interviewer, just look at their expressions. That they will themselves give the cue. If they are listening to you very carefully, you continue. If they are looking at some papers or they they are just distracted, that means okay, they are convinced or they just want to move on to the next question. So you have to look for the cues when you are looking at the interviewer. So the eye contact is very important. You just keep on looking at the interviewer, look for the cues, and then you stop. But otherwise, you just keep on elaborating or explaining to your role or whatever question they are asking. And then this also was covered in the previous session, ask relevant questions. You have to ask them, you have to definitely ask, because this is a given thing. At the end of the interview, interviewer will ask you, do you have any questions for me? You cannot ask them elaborate questions. You cannot have 10, 15 questions. Just have 2 or 3 very relevant questions, which perhaps were answered already and may not be answered. For example, you can just ask them what will be the team size if you are taken into a team. Or you can just ask them that, okay, what is the turnover of your company? What are your future plans? Or perhaps what is the reporting structure? Whom I will be reporting? If that's not clear, whom I will be reporting, or who will be reporting to me? These kind of questions are quite relevant questions. I remember long back I gave one interview, and when the interviewer asked me questions, I kept on asking him, okay, what is the salary grade? What are the increments? And all those kind of questions. And then he was put off with those kind of questions. And later on, I heard that he said, no, he was quite picky. He was asking too many questions, and I didn't like that. And also, so there I learned the lesson. So what I'm trying to say is, if you are failed or if you're not successful for an interview, don't think that that's the end of the world. You learn. You're asking questions or you are being asked questions. You just note down after every interview. I suggest I have a diary. You just note down all these questions, and then next time when you go, you are well prepared. You are well rehearsed. You know what kind of questions which will be asked. So you are prepared. So even if you are not successful, you gain knowledge. You gain experience. So that's quite important, which will help you in a longer run. Handle question and answers honestly. I already covered that whatever question is there, you have to answer them honestly. If you don't know the answer, you just tell them that, sir, I don't know the answer, but definitely I would like to know more about this. Don't bluff. Don't give them something which is not the answer. So you have to handle those very honestly. And then the last thing is that actually helped me in getting one of the jobs. You need to collect information about the company. It was already covered in the previous session. What happens is you need to go through their website, or you need to ask them certain questions, because what happens is most of the companies, big multinationals, there are 3-4 rounds of the interviews. First, maybe the HR who will be interviewing you. Second will be junior level kind of management, mid-management, and then third maybe by the higher management. So you collect questions, you collect answers from the previous interviews, you just write it down, you just memorize, and when you go to the next round, you just remember that you remember the information about the company. I remember I went for an interview for the third round. and by that time, I would know. I already knew that what is the employee size of the company, what was the turnover, when they started the operations, and what are their branches and all that. And when I went for the third round, he asked me, "What do you know about our company?" And I gave them all the information what I had, and he was very happy. Oh, okay, you know already. Okay, very good. So that will give you a very good impression. If they ask what do you know about our company, you give them a brief about when they started the operations, what is the employee size and all those kind of things, what is the turnover and all, if you know that. So that is these are some of the thumb rules which I would like to share with you all. Now I would like to give the international perspective, because a lot of CAs who are from Gulf, and there are a lot of who are in India, and I'm sure they will be going places, they will be looking for jobs, or they will be getting experiences, and they will be looking for jobs in Gulf or maybe UK, US, Canada, who knows. So as per my experience of last 25 years, I have worked with different kind of management, different kind of bosses I had. I had Indian bosses, European bosses, Americans, Arabs, Britishers. So I can tell you, if they come for the interview, what exactly they would be looking for in a candidate. Not everyone will be at par. Not everyone will be asking the same kind of questions, that I can guarantee you. Most Indians whom I have given interview or I have attended interview with, so they generally focus on the technical knowledge. So let's say 70-80% of their questions will be on technical knowledge, whether you know all these this kind of role or financial. Let's say they are looking for an accountant for the financial closing, so their questions will be around financial closing or IFRS and all those kind of things. They will be less interested in knowing your personality as such, or your extracurricular activities and all that. But whereas if you're giving an interview to a European or a Britisher, they know that maybe that's the impression of Indian CA. They know that, okay, you are an Indian CA, you have gone through the articleship, I'm sure you can do the job. They will be looking for the behavioral competencies, as Gulneet also said, that they will ask more questions on the behavioral aspect, whether you are a team player, and then they can give you some situational questions. That okay, this is the situation, how you will handle that. So I've attended interview where the interviewer was Britisher, I remember, and they had given me a situation that, okay, suppose I can share with you. He asked me if, okay, you are a manager and you have given a task to one of your subordinate, and that was a very important task that was to be finished by, let's say, 3 o'clock, but your subordinate left and you don't know the status, what you will do. So that was a tricky question, and I could handle that very well. I told him that, okay, I will try to contact the person. Maybe my subordinate has finished the job, but he has forgotten to send me the file. So I will try to contact him. I will call him on his mobile or on his landline, just try to find out what is the status. And then I will just take my second step. So these kind of tricky questions they will ask, and they will try to see whether you can handle some of the tough situations or not. I'm sure accounting, debit, credit, financial reports, or whatever. I'm sure they have the impression that the Indian CAs they can do anything related to their areas of expertise. Americans also. I would say they are also into the same category. They have experienced that they are more into the qualifications. I remember I gave one interview in a previous company, and then for the second round, my American boss. He was supposed to take my interview, but he said, no need, because he has already done, he is a CA and he is a CPA. I don't need to really see him. Fine, that's okay, just hire him. So that kind of impression they may have. So different people, they may be having different perspective of hiring people. Europeans, I would like to also add here that they also look for the communication skills, whether you are a good communicator or not, because most of the Europeans who are not from UK, their English is their second language like us. So they are also not very good in English communication. So they understand if you're not able to communicate properly, they can very well understand that, because they are also in the same boat. Fine, that's okay. But at least you are able to communicate, you are able to explain what you are trying to say. If you are able to communicate not in a polished language, fine, that's okay. But if they are able to understand, that's it. So basic communication knowledge they're looking for. Now, Arabs, they may be having a different idea or a different style of interview. I would say most of the Arabs, if they are going for interview, they look for the knowledge of Arabic as a must. Many times I have noticed, although the new generation, the next generation, they are highly educated, they know English very well, but still they look for the person who knows Arabic, even if they cannot speak, but at least they can understand, they can read Arabic. So that will be their first choice if you know the Arabic language. And plus, again, they will not look for the technical knowledge. They know, they have we have good impression on them. They know that we are Indian CAs. We can do anything, whatever is given to us. They go for the behavioral competencies. They will look for your situational knowledge, situational understanding, how you will really, if you are a team player or not, or if you can handle certain tough situations. If you are a hard worker, if you can really sit late, most of them, they have the tendency of sitting late. So if you can also sit late, so these kind of things they will be looking for. So different people may have different perspective. Okay, actually, I thought that this will be a session where I could really interact with the attendees, but I would just give you these kind of questions. If these kind of questions comes, then how you will really tackle these questions. Like I already told you, why should we hire you? Or they may ask that you are just passed out and you don't have the experience, then what can you do for us? Or they may say that, okay, there are 50, 60 more candidates. Why should we really hire you? Why should we take you? So these kind of questions, you have to really handle them very well. You have to tell them, as I told you, certain keywords, what they're looking for, and I'm sure you can be through. Again, these kind of questions may come. Some of these questions were already covered in the previous session. Tell us about a situation when you were stuck but solved the issue in a different way. This was asked to me long back. So this was a really tricky question, because what happens is when you think of these kind of situations, you may be answering in a different way. You may be telling them that, okay, I was stuck somewhere, but I did it my own way. I handled this situation by doing such and such thing, and those things may not be ethical. So you have to just avoid giving them these kind of answers where you tell them something which is like you did certain things in a wrong way. So these kind of things you have to be really careful. And this kind of question may come very often. It will come, tell us about a situation where you have taken an initiative. Now, since you are most of you are newly passed out, I would really suggest, other than your articleship or your other things, whatever you have done, you take up some voluntary things. You take up certain out of the certain roles which are not in your usual where you are paid, like honorary positions, or you have done some charity work or these kind of things, where you can really show them that you have taken initiative. You have taken initiative of a fundraiser where you have collected some money for the poor or something like that, or you have volunteered for a temple or a church. I'm sure if the interviewer is a European or an American, they will be really happy to listen to these kind of things, because in their culture, I would say now it's in India also, but in their culture, these kind of honorary works, these kind of voluntary works during your off time, during your Saturday, Sundays, these are quite important, and they give a lot of emphasis on that you have not wasted your time. You have taken some initiatives. You have given back to the society. These kind of things they are really looking for. So just include these kind of things in your CV, that you have utilized your time, your spare time on certain activities where you are able to give back to the society. And I'm sure your interviewer will be really happy knowing all those kind of things. Now, before I conclude, maybe I would like to take up questions. Pradeep Saab.
Yes, we have 14 minutes to conclude. So I would just suggest that you can conclude your presentation. It's off the
Sure. Good ideas. Okay, so this is just to conclude that whatever we covered already, you have to prepare before moving for an interview. Just don't get up and just go there. You have to prepare. That's the key. Study about the organization. As in the previous session also, it was said you just browse through the website of that organization or that company. You just collect information. And if you don't find certain information, just note it down, and then you can ask the interviewer. So study about organization. That will give you a good flavor of whether you really want to join that organization. One thing I would like to add here, when I said that you have to be honest, interviewers also will have to be honest in answering your questions. I have seen multiple of times when they also bluff. They want to just hire good candidates, so they may lie. They may say, oh, you will have very good opportunities for growth. This is a professional company, and you will be gaining so much of experience, and we can send you here, there, a lot of travel involved there, and you will be there will be 3-4 people who will be reporting to you, and all those kind of things. They may bluff. But what you have to do, I would suggest, okay, you just note it down, but you just reconfirm whatever information you have collected about their organization. You just reconfirm from somebody who has already worked in that company or working in that company. Or if you are filling for a position of someone who is leaving, it's very important that you contact with that person and ask him why he is leaving. That will give you correct information about that company, and then you can reconfirm what the interviewer told you. Now, networking also, when this session started, so Kabra Saab also talked about this networking. Networking is very important. So you just have a good social network. You be on LinkedIn, you be on Facebook. Nowadays, what happens is I've seen a lot of interviewers who are going to your profile on internet, on your profile on LinkedIn and Facebook, and they see what kind of posts you are uploading, what kind of pictures, photos you are uploading. That's also plays a big role there. That also give a good flavor about your personality, about your yourself. So that's also important that you be in the network, but be sensitive to what you are posting or what you are uploading on LinkedIn or your Facebook or whatever other social websites. This positive attitude and body language that I've already told you that this is very important. You need to show them that you are very positive, you are keen on joining them, you take initiative, your body language should say, even if you're nervous, smile, just show them that you're not nervous, you are ready to take on any question. Then technical knowledge, of course, you need to have technical knowledge, good technical knowledge. Without that, it will be very difficult. And then experience counts. Again, I would like to say that any interview is not end of the world. You just keep on giving interviews, gain experience from those interviews, and just add to your knowledge. And be confident and ethical always. Don't bluff, don't write wrong information in your CVs. If you're caught, that will be really a shame. So just be honest, just tell them honest answers. I'm sure that will be a very big plus point. So with that, this is my contact details. If you need more information, you can always write to me anytime. You can call me. Don't start sending your CVs to me or start calling me for a job, please. I don't have a job in my company, but I can help you with your, if you have an interview, I can help you, I can guide you, whatever I can, I will do that. With that, thank you very much.
There is one question, sir. There is no time. Sir, can you take up one question?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So there is one common question which people ask us as to whether, as a beginner, you could make a career in an industry like automobile, banking, or IT, or pharma, or they should get into a big four firm. What is your suggestion on this?
That's a good question. If you're getting a chance in getting into a big four firm, I personally suggest, yes, definitely go for it. Gain some experience, 3, 4, 5 years, because they may be sending you to clients who are into industry. And if those clients like you, you can straight away join them. But if you are getting chance of big four, that will be a superb start, I would say. You have to go for it. My personal suggestion is go for it.
Yeah. Thank you. So,
but here too, some of the candidates who get into Big Four, they have an issue that they are put into some kind of a specialization. Like if they are in audit, if they are in taxation or indirect taxation, the departments do not change at all for 3 or 4 or 5 years. Then they tend to forget the other areas. So this is one problem which people have who go to Big Four.
I would suggest if they are into an area, a specialized area where they don't like that area, then I think they should ask the management to change that area, or they should quit, or they should join an industry. So that it's up to them. But don't just carry on. I would say if they don't have any interest in that, just don't carry on. Just switch the career.
Yes,
so, sir. Yes, sir.
Before we conclude, we have 6 minutes left, and I would like to tell the attendees that we have noted your questions, and we will see that they are answered in the coming 6 days. There are questions which relate to how you can get yourself placed abroad. So those will be will try to answer. There are very many questions regarding communication. There will be 2 sessions on communication happening in this 7 days program, so that will guide you on how you can improve upon it. One thing which we need to conclude today, to the best possible extent is the dressing, which has come up again, even though has been answered. Is if will it be necessary that I should wear a suit for men, but whether tie and a shirt will be enough? So, Girish, you can give your view. I may throw some light.
Okay. Actually, there was somebody who asked whether sporting a bird is okay.
Whether, sorry?
Whether having a bird is okay. Beard.
Yeah, beard also someone asked. A groomed beard may not be a Sikh or Hindu. So anyways, I think dress is very important and critical part if how we can conclude upon.
I would like to add that. Okay, beard is perfectly okay. Should be okay. Hello, can you listen to me?
Yes. We can
okay. Because my screen shows poor network. Okay, so beard or mustache is a personal choice, I would say. So that is, I don't think that will affect the interview. So that's a personal choice. I'm sure if the interviewer is a sensitive person, he would respect that those kind of personal choices. But if the person or the candidate is having a suit, if he is having a coat, a jacket, I suggest, yes, definitely they should put on the jacket. That will definitely give a good impression.
Yeah. So for men, as Girish said, that if you have a suit and jacket, you can wear it. If you don't have, even if tie and shirt will be fine, but that may add some value to it.
Yes,
this
exactly.
is the same question which girls have asked, that whether what they should wear, whether they should also wear suit, or what is the recommendation?
That's a very good question, because I remember long back I was interviewing a girl, and then one of my Arabic Qatari manager was there. No offense to that, but this girl came and she was married, and she was having the bindi, and she was having the the mang, and some earrings and all those kind of things, and my manager didn't like that actually. So he said, what is this, these kind of things? We don't wear all those kind of things. So I had, we recruited this girl, but I had to, with heavy heart, I had to tell her that you cannot have all this mang and this bindi and all that. You have to come in plain. She did that, but yes, that depends on what is the situation and who's the interviewer. If Indian interviewers are there, they would, I'm sure they will not mind any dress like salwar kurta or formal dress. Formal dress nowadays is very common actually. So I would suggest girls to wear these formal dress. If they don't have, then this any dress, sari or any dress would be okay. No issues.
Right. So we have last 2 minutes, and another common question is whether they will get presentations that we will be sharing with them. Right, Girish will also be sharing his presentation, yes. So they will get. The request to students is that, even if you felt that some of your questions have not been asked, we will do our best to coordinate with our speakers and see that those are answered in the coming 6 days. We are very happy to see your large participation, and we wish to see that for the next 6 days, because this program has been devised for your benefit. And if you are present, that will make a key difference in what CMIB committee wants to make. Sir Ranganathan, sir, any pointers you wish to give before we conclude?
No, it was perfectly very good beginning for the first day. We had a very smashing beginning. Both the speakers were extraordinarily brilliant. I'm sure all these entrants, we had today 1,118 participants, and all of them would be appearing in campus interviews starting on the 3rd of May. We are sure many of them will fare far better in their interviews. And today was only the first day. There are 6 more days to go. And we are extremely thankful to both the speakers for their time and for the efforts that they gave to us. We are really very highly obliged to you both. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Sir,
Thank you
one
for giving
point,
this opportunity, sir.
Yeah. Someone asked that if they can view it again if they are not available. So this can be viewed on the same link after within 24 hours it will be available and
Yeah.
it will all the sessions.
In fact, the ICAI has got to an ICATV.com. If you go to ICATV.com, all videos are available, and this video will be available after 48 hours.
Yeah. Yes. So this will be available there also. So you can view. We have one speaker of I think Thursday, Rajiv. Rajiv, if you'd like to share any of your feedback today. Yes.
Hi Pradeep ji, and it was an amazing session. I was not here for the full time, but I could sense that it is going in a very, very effective way. Thank you very much, and Girish ji, amazing. Thanks Ranganathan ji for all your coordination which is happening.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Welcome to the meeting, sir. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. We really made good friends today. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye and good night.
Thank you. So, bye. So, stay safe, take care, and goodbye.
Thank you, sir.